I'll start with a story that I find very touching, and it's a story of what I think can make a difference in the way we do business, the way we work together, the way we create wealth and value in a society. And it's a story from the Far East. It's a story about a man, a samurai, who was very powerful and had waged a lot of battles. And as he was getting old, he started wondering, well, what's going to happen? One day I'm going to lose one of these battles and I'm going to die. And he heard that there was something after death, that one would go either to heaven or to hell. So he was very interested in finding out what are these places where you're going to spend an eternity after you finish your life here on earth. But he couldn't find any answer that satisfied him. So he looked around and he asked a lot of people, and finally he was directed to go check with a monk, a famous Zen monk, a renunciate, who lived in a hut in the middle of the forest. So the samurai went all the way to this hut, and he found the monk doing some calligraphy on the floor. He walked in, stood in front of the monk, said, "Monk, I want you to tell me the difference between heaven and hell." The monk just kept working, not even acknowledge his presence. So samurai took a step and said, "Didn't you hear me? Tell me the difference between heaven and hell." The monk looked at him, he sighed, said, "It's of no use. You're too stupid to understand." "What?" "Yes, you're a dishonor to the samurai caste." "Are you crazy? You can't talk to me like that." He pulled his sword and was ready to kill him. And the monk looked at him and smiled and said, that is hell. And the samurai realized in a second that his life of arrogance, of anger, of just temper was really a hell, and that he was destined to continue to be like that. And a second after, he just was completely flabbergasted with the gift that this monk had given him by teaching him this lesson, putting his life in danger, because he was about to kill him. So he fell on his knees, and he said, "Thank you." The monk smiled and said, "And that is heaven." So most people think that heaven and hell are things that happen after we die. But what I find working with companies is that heaven and hell are very real, right here, right now. And most people work in hell. So they end up spending all their lives in a hell of anger, resentment, internal fights in companies, feeling dehumanized, feeling mistreated. And unfortunately, when people experience that, they say that's the consequence of the capitalist system, or that's a consequence of business. But that's not true. It's not a consequence of business. It's the consequence of the consciousness with which people do business. How aware are we? How do we relate to one another? So what I'd like to share with you today are some ideas about how it's possible to do business differently. And in fact, what I'm going to argue is that it's possible to create more value when we operate in a way that's aligned with the fundamental nature of human beings, which is not machine-like, it's not physical entities, but it's rational, human, spiritual entities with emotions, with concerns, with interests, things that go way beyond the laws of physics and follow a different kind of behavior in the world. So that's, in essence, what I'd like to share with you. But let me start with some frightening pieces of data. Well, the entities that really influence the world mostly are companies. I mean, corporations, economic entities that produce and distribute goods and services. Unfortunately, when you ask people what do they think about business and what do they think about business leaders, in survey after survey, the business leaders come out next to last. The next to the last thing. The only thing worse than business people are politicians. So when people say that's at least that's something, But still, having that place of dishonor in people's minds is really a disgrace. But that's what people think. It's like if you make money, it's because you're screwing someone. You're making money on somebody else's misery. No, you don't make money by helping other people or by producing something, but you make money by stealing it almost. So every great fortune is built on some great crime. That's the normal idea that people have. Now, this goes to, it's expressed in culture in many ways. And if you had to guess what's the most read business book in the history of the United States, you'd never guess. It's Dilbert. And Dilbert is an extremely acid, it's really like a really, I don't know, just disgusting painting or a caricature of how business operates. And here's an example. The boss says, I've been saying that employees are most important asset, but he says, no, it turns out I was wrong. It's the 9th most important. And Dilbert wonders, well, I wonder what's 8. It's like, well, carbon paper. So that's the way people feel that they're treated in companies, that they are things that are slightly less important than carbon paper or paper clips. This gives you a sense of the way people think that business leaders treat their people. And it's not completely wrong. A lot of business leaders get to where they are by studying physical sciences or finance or more technical studies. And I have an example of an engineer that I work with, very extremely smart guy at a chemical company. And one day when I was teaching the program, he just burst out and said, well, Fred, I love molecules. Molecules are so much easier than people. Because, you take a molecule, you apply some heat and some pressure, and you know exactly what the molecule is going to do. And it always does the same thing. Now, take a person. You put some heat and some pressure, and you have no idea of what this person is going to do. Not only that, one day they do one thing, the other day they do something completely different. I mean, it's crazy. It'd be so much better if I could work with molecules. But when I came here, I worked with molecules, and I was so good that they promoted me, and now I'm a manager, so now I work with people that work with molecules. And I don't know what the hell to do with these people. So this is really, I love that story because it illustrates how this is an incorrect translation of prior experience. Of course, I can manipulate molecules, now I can manipulate people, and more or less management is doing to people the same thing I used to do to molecules, giving them the right incentive, the right pressure, the right heat. It doesn't work like that. And the difference is that people have choices. People are not molecules, they're not physical entities. People, we have a mind of our own. And we cannot be coerced in our mind. We can be coerced in our physical bodies, but we cannot be coerced in our mind. And if you ask any leader, what do you want from your people? I ask this question all over the world, and what leaders in every company say, what they want from their people is, well, today to compete, we need people's creativity. We need them to be intelligent. We need them to be courageous. These are the things that we want. But these are not things that you can say, I'm going to give you rewards or punishments so you become like this.